On April 30th, 15 students boarded the plane for Xuzhou, a small village in southwest China, our home for the next month. Here we embarked on our own personal journey, each on a different topic, but ultimately to understand and learn about ourselves. I chose to do everyday and traditional style of the Bai minority. In order to effectively describe Bai style in Xuzhou, I created plans for 3 different shops, one directed toward older locals, one toward younger locals, and one toward tourists. First, I created a shop for older locals. Nowadays in Xuzhou, only locals that are aged 60 or above still wear Bai minority clothing. Therefore, they would be my most popular customers. A shop for older women would sell undershirts, vests, aprons, belts, pants, headdresses, and headscarves in various styles. The typical undershirt would be white or light colored with embroidered sleeves, either a simple stitch pattern or for newer designs in my shop, a bright colored embroidered color camellia flower with sequins and beads. The common style of pants are very similar. They are long and have embroidery like the sleeves at the ankle. The vests are on top of the undershirt. They are usually like the top of a qipao with buttons running down the side instead of the middle. The aprons would be sold with a belt, and most would be a dark blue, as it is a favorite color among the Bai locals. Next is the headdress or headscarf. The headdress or headscarf in my shop would be intricately hand-sewn and cost around 500 to 600 RMB. Here in Xuzhou and Zhouchen, the headdress is the common head decoration for the Bai. The headdress stands for the moon, flowers, wind, and snow. The sequin/embroidered part of the headdress are the flowers. The snow is the fluffy white swirls on the top of the headdress. The wind is the trail that falls from the headdress, and the moon stands for the headdress itself, as it is shaped like a crescent. There would be many different lengths of trail, as the trail is shorter as you age, and the oldest women have blue trails instead of white. Mrs. Xu, a Bai farmer who lives in Shacun, a village by the ocean, wears a headscarf instead of a headdress. It's one of the differences between the Bai culture and Yunnan. Therefore, in my shop, I would also sell headscarves in many different bright colors. The clothing in my shop would be custom designed and hand-sewn. The only limits are that the clothing has white and consists of the same garments. My shop would be in Zhouchen, and I would have many local customers and many Bai women from nearby villages, as Zhouchen has the largest traditional clothing industry. One average hand-sewn outfit in my shop would cost a few thousand RMB and would need to be tailored to the exact fit. I was at first very surprised that as the locals aged, they wore something different than the colorful red and white dress. There had never been any advertisements, posters, or movies showing what the older woman wore, which was ironic because that was the actual traditional clothing, not the identical bright red and white dress that is only worn for tourism purposes. Next, I planned a shop for younger locals. The younger locals wore modern hand clothing. My shop would sell jeans and loose-fitting pants, fashionable dresses, sweaters, t-shirts, and some casual jackets, such as a hoodie or cardigan. My customers would mostly be younger locals aged 16 to 60. These Xuzhou has gotten more developed. More of these shops are opening. The younger generations have simply grown up with many different choices of clothing, therefore drifting toward the more comfortable and trendy clothes. And as families start to make more money, they can afford to go out and shop for the clothes that they desire. The young locals do not like wearing the traditional clothing because it is layered, stuffy, and inconvenient. The traditional outfit gets dirty easily, and it's hard to wash due to the amount of white on the traditional attire. In my shop, I would have some cheaper clothes costing 20 to 70 RMB for the younger woman and some more expensive clothes for older women with prices over 100 RMB. When I looked at these shops, preparing to design my own, I was surprised in how the tourists could still believe that the Bai wore traditional clothing every day when there were so many of these casual hand clothing shops. And it was walking into these shops and talking to the owners that really made me look at the clothing in a different way. Clothing is simply something that is worn for use. People quickly adapt to the most comfortable and convenient clothing there is. Normal villagers do not wear clothing to seem exotic and unique. When the tourists try to blend in like the Bai, they are actually standing out as tourists and attracting attention to themselves. Lastly, I designed a clothing shop for tourists. My shop would have, of course, the traditional red and white dresses with bright embroidery, as it is a tourist's favorite, and also colorful gauzy skirts and dresses, another tourist's favorite. Some other styles are chipao-like tops and dresses embroidered with dragons, flowers, or money, and loose pants and shirts sewn together with tie-dyed cloth. Tie-dye and wax printings are also a must-have for tourist shops. On the wall opposite to my shop, I would hang up tie-dye in many different bright colors, with popular patterns such as marijuana leaves and flowers or fish, with wax printings showing topless women dancing and posing, as many tourists actually think that's what the Bai women do, when in reality, the traditional tie-dye are a dark blue color with patterns such as the circles that are made up of overlapping geometric shapes meant to look like flowers called xiuqiu hua, horse teeth, butterflies, etc. I would sell bright colorful stone and wood bead bracelets, tassel earrings, clip-in dyed braids, and embroidery necklaces and purses. The jewelry would typically be sold for 10 to 20 RMB, and my clothes would be sold for roughly 60 to 80 RMB, and the red and white dresses sold for over 100 RMB. When I was researching for my inquiry project, I often wondered if the tourists came here to get real Bai traditional clothing, why aren't they going to the real Bai local clothing shops? The tourist shops didn't even sell headdresses or headscarves, one of the most important aspects of Bai style. Instead, they sold sparkly clip-in braids, something that isn't even remotely Bai. But I realized that the tourists don't know. They are only fed by the movies and TV shows talking about Bai people. The shops would of course sell them the easiest to make, the prettiest, and the most exotic clothing, instead of the actual traditional clothing that takes days and weeks to make. I've designed an older local shop, a younger local shop, and a tourist shop to show Bai style in Xizhou. The objective of this video is to help people understand that the best of a minority culture are not the exotic primitive drawings and printing, flashy jewelry and clothing, foods and snacks, etc. To really dig deep and experience a culture, you have to not be afraid to explore and talk to people, to learn what they really are like, not the show that they put on for tourists. My topic, everyday and traditional style of the Bai, seems like a topic on the surface of a culture. But through my inquiry project, I have learned that what we perceive to be true is not always the reality. I have also gotten the opportunity to find out what people really wear and to understand and experience the Xizhou Bai culture. It's not just buying a piece of Bai tie-dye or snapping a picture of Dali Old Town. It's the memories, the feelings, the tastes to really see, to really hear. That is what it takes to understand and experience a culture. This is my takeaway from this trip, and I hope others can learn this from my video as well. Being part of Group Phenomena, the 16th Microcampus trip has really been a privilege for me. This month has been one of the best of my life, and now it's nearing an end. The time has really flew by, and this trip wouldn't have felt right if we were missing even one of us. Xizhou has brought us all together and created family in 1 month. I will never forget the smiles, laughter, and tears. And even when we say goodbye, the memories will stay with me forever.